the dream of the 24/7 employee.
Yeah.
Beat. It is, it is basically the holy grail of commerce, is it not?
Yeah, it really is.
You know the archetype I am talking about. Someone who never sleeps, never takes a smoke break.
Never gets grumpy at 4 p.m. on a Friday.
Exactly. And somehow, magically, they manage to capture sales leads while you are physically unconscious.
I mean, it sounds like a fantasy. Or at least a very, very expensive one.
It does, and for a long time, that is exactly what it was. If you wanted that level of coverage 5 years ago, you were talking about hiring a graveyard shift.
Right.
Or spending $10,000, $20,000 on custom development. But we are looking at a guide today, Max Ann's Chatling Guide for 2026, and it claims the landscape has shifted entirely.
Yeah, the premise here is wild. It only is suggesting you can solve this 24/7 problem in about 15 minutes. And for the price of a cup of coffee.
And crucially, without writing a single line of code.
That is the key. No code at all.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are going to stress test this idea. We want to see if we can actually move from the era of the dumb chatbot to the era of the autonomous agent. Beat. But I have to be honest, when I see 15 minutes an AI agent in the same sentence, my skepticism alarm goes off.
I get that.
It kind of sounds like marketing fluff.
It sounds exactly like an infomercial. But what we are dissecting today is not about magic. It is about modularity. It is about how the tools have evolved from building from scratch to just assembling parts.
So let us start with the ontology of the agent, the definition. The guide makes a very sharp distinction right up front. It warns us, do not build a chatbot, which feels counterintuitive because, well, is that not what we are doing?
No, and this is where most people get tripped up. Chatbot has become a dirty word. Think about the last time you interacted with a standard customer service bot, like on an airline website.
Oh, it is painful. You click the little bubble, hoping for help, and it just...
Gives you a rigid menu.
Right. Press 1 for returns, press 2 for shipping. It feels like a phone tree that learned how to type.
Exactly. And it uses this great analogy in the guide. The vending machine versus the employee. The traditional chatbot is a vending machine. It is rigid. If you want a Snickers bar, but you press D4 instead of E4, what happens?
You get nothing.
Yeah.
Or you get a bag of chips you did not want and you cannot give it back.
Right. It has zero context. It has zero flexibility. If you ask a vending machine, hey, do you have anything that tastes like chocolate but is not a Snickers? It breaks.
Because it cannot think.
Exactly. It just executes a rigid script.
And that is where the agent comes in.
Yes. An agent is like a good store associate. It has ears to understand context, a brain to process nuance, and this is the most important part, it has hands.
Hands.
It can actually do things.
Okay, I like that distinction. But let us look under the hood. The guide breaks down the anatomy of an agent. It is not just one big algorithm, is it?
No, and this is where folks get it wrong. They think you just plug in ChatGPT and you are done.
Yeah.
But On outlines a framework. It is a tripod, well, actually it is 5 distinct parts, like stacking Lego blocks of data. If you miss one, the whole thing falls over.
Walk us through them, slowly.
First, you have the brain. That is the large language model. It is the engine that powers the AI's thinking.
Okay.
Second is the prompt, which is the instructions and the personality. Third is memory.
Pause on memory for a second. Why is that a separate component? Does the brain not just remember?
Not inherently, no. Without a specific memory module, the AI basically has amnesia every time you send a new message.
Wow.
Yeah. If I say, my order is late, and then follow up with, can you refund it? The agent needs to know it refers to the order we just discussed. A basic chatbot fails that test constantly.
Okay, that tracks. So we have brain, prompt, memory. What is next?
Fourth is the knowledge base. That is your specific business data, your return policy, your catalogs, your stock levels. And finally, the fifth part, the game changer. Actions. The actual hands. Doing things like looking up orders.
So the magic is not in the chat interface, but in the intersection of understanding and doing.
Context plus action equals a functional system, not just a static script.
2 seconds silence. Let us get into the configuration, the brain and the rules. The guide points us toward a tool called Chatling. It is visual, it is no code. But I got stuck on the model selection.
Yeah, they give you a lot of options.
Chatling supports all the big names, Gemini, Claude, GPT 5.1.
It is totally model agnostic.
My instinct, and I assume the instinct of everyone listening, is to pick the smartest one. I want the Einstein of bots handling my customers. But the guide says, do not do that.
Right.
It recommends ChatGPT 4.0 Mini. Why go for the mini version? Is that not like hiring the C student because he is cheap?
It is not hiring the C student. It is hiring the efficient clerk instead of the philosopher. You have to look at the trade-offs here, which speed and cost. GPT 5.1 is incredible. It can write poetry, it can code in Python, but it burns about 2 credits per message. The 4.0 Mini uses 0.5 credits.
So it's 4 times cheaper.
And significantly faster. Look, if a customer asks, "Where's my package?" you do not need the AI to deconstruct the metaphysical nature of waiting.
Right.
You need it to check a database and reply in milliseconds. You do not use a Ferrari to drive to the mailbox.
Fair point. It is about matching the tool to the task. Now, there is another setting here that sounded like high school physics: temperature.
Yes, this is critical, and almost everyone messes this up the first time.
In physics, high temperature means high energy, high chaos, molecules bouncing around. I assume it is similar here.
Exactly. In AI terms, temperature is a setting that controls how creative the AI gets. If you set it to 1.0, the AI gets poetic. It takes weird risks with its word choices.
And the guide says?
Set it to 0.0, absolute zero.
That sounds really boring. Will that not make it sound robotic?
No, the prompt handles the tone. The temperature handles the predictability. Because this is customer service, not a creative writing workshop. You do not want your AI getting creative with your refund policy. You do not want it improvising a new warranted term because it felt a certain vibe that day. You want boring, predictable accuracy.
I have to admit, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself. I have played around with these tools. I set up a bot to be helpful, and 3 turns later, it is hallucinating or getting weirdly argumentative about politics.
Yeah.
It feels like the personality just leaks out.
That is a super common failure mode, and it usually happens because the system prompt, the soul of the agent, is way too vague.
Okay.
If you just say, "Be a helpful bot," you are leaving a massive vacuum that the AI fills with randomness.
So how do we lock it down?
And suggests a very specific 7-part framework. You cannot just write a paragraph. You need to define persona, goal, steps, tools, constraints, format, and fallback.
The constraint section really stood out to me. Why is the constraint section of that prompt framework so vital?
It stops hallucinations entirely, preventing the bot from inventing policies it cannot keep.
You are essentially training it to be humble.
You are training it not to lie. Large language models are designed to please you. If they do not know the answer, their instinct is to just make up something that sounds like an answer.
Right.
The constraint section forces them to override that instinct and say, "I do not know."
Which is actually much better customer service than a polite lie.
100%.
Beat. Okay, so we have a brain, we have a personality, but right now this agent is completely empty-headed regarding our actual business. It does not know what we sell. We need to inject knowledge.
Knowledge injection.
The guide mentions crawling the website. Is it really as simple as pasting a URL?
It is. You paste your homepage, click Add Source, and Chatling reads every product page, every FAQ, every About Us page in minutes.
That beats manual data entry any day.
Oh, absolutely. But there is a nuance here the guide highlights. What about things that are not on your website yet?
Like what?
Like a holiday promotion that starts next week. Or a strict return policy you do not want to plaster on the homepage, but you still need to enforce.
Right, you do not want to publish it to the public site yet, but you want the bot to know the rules.
Exactly. That is where custom text comes in. You can paste a raw text file into the brain. It treats that text as absolute fact. So you can say, "Starting Monday, all socks are 20% off." The bot now knows that secret.
Let us pivot to the feature that actually makes money. Actions. We established that actions separate an agent from a bot. The guide lists a simple one first: lead collection.
This is the low-hanging fruit. Usually a customer asks a question on a site like, "Do you do bulk orders?" They get an answer and they leave. They're gone forever.
Right, lost revenue.
Here you set up a trigger. When the AI detects intent like asking about pricing or bulk orders, it is trained to say, "I can send you a quote. What is your email address?"
It is proactive. It is actually selling.
It captures the first name and email, and suddenly you have a lead in your CRM. You did not do anything. The bot just seized the opportunity.
But the real power move, as the guide calls it, is the Shopify integration. Now, I was reading this section, and it started talking about HTTP requests and GET methods and headers, and I felt my eyes glazing over.
That's a little dense there, yeah.
It does. I feel like we might lose some people here. Can we unpack this without the jargon? How does the bot actually check an order status?
Yeah, let us simplify it. Think of the agent as a waiter in a restaurant.
Okay, I am with you. A waiter.
The customer is at the table. They ask, "Is my soup ready?" The waiter, the agent, does not cook the soup. He does not know. He has to go to the kitchen.
The kitchen is Shopify.
Exactly. The kitchen is the database where all the truth lives.
Right.
Now, the waiter cannot just barge into the kitchen and start screaming. He needs a ticket. That ticket is the API key. An API is just a secure digital bridge letting two software programs talk.
Okay, so he has credentials.
Right. It is the security badge that proves he works there.
Yeah.
So the customer says, "Where's my order?" The agent says, "Give me your order number." That is the table number. The agent walks to the kitchen, which is Shopify, shows his badge, the API key, and hands over the table number, the order ID. The kitchen hands him a slip of paper that says, "FedEx, arriving Tuesday." The agent walks back to the table and tells the customer.
And that entire trip to the kitchen, the Just GT request, happens in
Milliseconds.
faster than you can blink.
Whoa. Beat. Just imagine scaling to 1 billion queries while you are asleep. That is incredible.
It really is.
That analogy helps a lot because when you look at the raw code, it looks scary. But conceptually, it's just a secure handshake.
Exactly. You could have 1,000 customers asking that question simultaneously at 3 a.m. A human support team would collapse. This system is just fetching live data and firing off emails instantly.
It is purely API to API. The business owner is asleep and the problem is being solved. But technology breaks.
It does.
What if the kitchen door is locked? What if Shopify is down or the API key expires? This API integration bridges chat and service. What is the risk if it fails?
Total frustration. Testing your fallback mechanisms is just as important as the happy path, so it fails gracefully rather than just crashing.
Right. You need to program the agent to say, "I am having trouble accessing the records right now. Let me email the team for you." You never want the blue screen of death equivalent in a chat window.
This segues perfectly into testing, because you should not be finding out about these crashes from your customers. The guide talks about the playground. This is not a slide and swing set, is it?
No, it is a sandbox environment inside Chatling. It is where you break things safely before you go live. The guide suggests 3 essential tests. And honestly, if you do not do these, you should not launch.
What are they?
First, the knowledge test. Ask it of your return policy. Make sure it is pulling from the right document, not just making stuff up.
Okay.
Second, the lead test. Give it a fake email. Go into the back end and verify it actually saved that email. Do not just trust that the bot said, "Got it."
And the third?
The unknowns. This is my absolute favorite. It's basically red teaming your own bot.
Red teaming? That sounds military.
It is. It means acting like the enemy. You want to stress test the bot. Ask it something completely irrelevant or weird. Ask it who won the World Series in 1999. Or how do I bake a chocolate cake?
Why? Who cares if it knows how to bake a cake?
You care because you want to verify your constraints.
Yeah.
You want it to say, "I am sorry. I can only help with questions about the store."
Oh, I see.
You do not want your brand account reciting recipes or debating history. If it answers the cake question, your temperature might be too high or your prompt is too weak.
That is a fascinating way to look at it. You are basically trying to trick it into failing so you can patch the hole.
Exactly.
So once we have torture tested this thing, we deploy. The promise was 15 minutes. Deployment seems to be the final hurdle. Is it hard? Because I saw the file name theme.liquid in the guide, and my palms got a little sweaty.
Theme.liquid is the scary basement of Shopify.
It sounds like the place where if I delete one semicolon, my whole website explodes and I lose my business.
It sounds scary, I know. But the reality is much simpler. You get a snippet of code from Chatling, you find the tag that says head, which is always near the very top, and you paste the code right under it. Hit save. That is it. The bubble appears on your site.
Okay. I think I can handle copy and paste.
You definitely can.
But the guide also mentions Instagram. This feels huge for 2026 because Instagram DMs are usually a black hole for businesses.
It is huge.
Okay.
If you connect your professional Instagram account, Chatling treats your DMs exactly like website chats.
So if someone slides into my DMs at midnight asking about sizing.
The agent handles it instantly. No more ignoring customers for 3 days. It turns your social media from a notification nightmare into an actual viable sales channel.
Let us talk brass tacks.
Yeah?
Results. What is the realistic expectation here? We are not promising miracles overnight, right?
No, it's operational, not magical. Week 1 is just about speed. Immediate replies. The customer satisfaction score goes up because nobody likes waiting.
Right.
Month 1, you are looking at saving maybe 5 to 15 hours of human time.
That is real money.
It is. But by month 3, that is when the agent gets smarter. You've been looking at the chat logs, seeing where it gets stuck, and adding new knowledge. You are refining the employee.
And the cost comparison is stark.
It is not even close. A human support rep is $3,000 to $5,000 a month. This agent is maybe $20 to $100 a month. It is perfect consistency for pennies on the dollar.
It sounds like the ultimate goal is not just replacing support, but expanding capacity.
Exactly. You scale to 1,000 conversations without increasing your costs or losing quality.
Beat. We will be right back after a quick break to discuss the long-term implications of this. Mid-roll sponsor read placeholder.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We have covered a lot today, from the 5-part framework to the waiter analogy for APIs. Let us zoom out for the big idea recap. If you take one thing away from this deep dive, what should it be?
It is the shift from passive to active. We're moving away from the vending machine, where the customer has to do all the work, pecking at rigid buttons, to the digital employee that does the work for them. And the barrier to entry has completely collapsed. This used to be the domain of Fortune 500 companies with massive R&D budgets. Now, it is accessible to anyone with a Shopify store in 15 minutes.
And because it is so new, the competitive advantage is wide open. Most businesses, maybe even your direct competitors, are still using frustrated humans or those terrible old-school bots. If you deploy this now, you look like a magician to your customers.
So here's our call to action for you. You do not have to overhaul your entire business today. Just go to the tool, open the playground, and try to build the brain.
Yeah, even if you never deploy it, just the act of writing that system, forcing yourself to define who is my business, what is our tone, what are our rules, is a massive learning experience.
It forces clarity.
Exactly. It forces you to codify your culture.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We talked about a support agent today, but the guide hints at what comes next. A sales agent, a booking agent, a post-purchase agent.
Once you have one, you will want them all.
Right, so the question is, once you start stacking these agents, are you just building a tool? Or are you building a synthetic workforce? And what does your company look like when the majority of your staff lives in the cloud, works for free, and never sleeps?
That is a very big question, and probably the subject of a future deep dive.
Indeed it is. Thanks for listening. We will see you in the next deep dive.